Savage Cut. Real talk, no filter on Savaged Unfiltered. Savaged.
That's just unacceptable. So let's
all right.
let me show you the
Don't put Savage in the corner.
Yeah.
You got me in the corner there.
I gotta flip over. Boom. There we go. Bam.
All right. Bam.
All right. So
Another
now we
batch.
got. So now we got Savage. So now we're talking to Savage Unfiltered. Yeah, I was actually covering. You did something on Civil War too, didn't you? No.
Did I do something
No.
on what?
Somebody talked about Civil War. You or your partner was talking about Civil War.
It's my co-host. That's Joseph. Yeah.
Joseph. Yeah, it was Joseph. So yeah, I was covering that, and I started. Here's how it happened. I'm just going to jump in here. Everybody, just so everybody knows, this is Savage Unfiltered. Actually, if you just want to fire away real quick, kind of introduce yourself. That way, it's on here and it's recorded. Fire away.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Sage, for having me part of your program, man. I'm Savaged. You can find me just about anywhere, guys, on audio, video formats. Savaged Unfiltered show. Been around for a hot minute. Been doing this merry-go-round of a show for about 5 years now. So just entered my 5th season, but no stranger to talk radio. Been in this field of work for going on 21 years. So a lot of experience. A lot of experience in talk radio and a lot of experience in video production. Dabble in the Hollywood industry as an extra. Everybody likes to joke around with that extra stuff, Sage. Hey, but there's money to be made. You know, it's quick and easy. Sometimes it's like, 3 seconds to 2 or 3 minutes. And I love it. Quick and easy. Get in there, get out, get paid, on to the next project.
Yeah, so basically, last time you guys saw something like man drinking coffee at counter, that could have been Savage there, basically, right? Is that the situation?
Could have been.
Could have
You
been.
never know. Probably had a fucking wig, or I had, some makeup on, or it probably made me into a transgender. You never know.
Exactly. And it's no, absolutely. I know another guy who he does small parts, and I think he does extra stuff in the Florida area. He's done some voice stuff for me. And so, yeah, it's something that he does also as a side group too. So, no, absolutely. So I basically what happened was I started, I was on Savage's show and jumped in there when he had a bunch of people on. So, like I said, I normally go for 5-6 hours sometimes. So if you got to jump off, just so you know. It's no big deal. When you're like, hey, I got to take off, because you don't have to stick around. Or if you just get to the point where you're like, this guy's a pain in the ass and I can't listen to him anymore, I'm leaving. You can do that too. That's usually another aspect. So I basically started with in regards to the Civil War aspect, and I was doing some debate research because somebody they said they wanted to debate me on it. I said, well, let's set something up. Let's do a little research. So this was a research show for me. And he basically said, well, he first started out and said, we're going to be going into a civil war. And he used Texas because everybody likes to use Texas. Texas was going to succeed. And we were going to go into a civil war, an actual war where it's, conflict and things like that. I said, okay, how's that going to work? So we talked about that, and that didn't make sense because that won't work. You're never going to be able to logistically supply Texas with the goods that they need if they're in war, right? So then I just started a video, which I can just start in regards to what a civil war in the U.S. would look like, because this is something that the CIA actually does for other countries. So the CIA has a program that they started that they actually talk about what could bring different countries to war and to civil wars. And she's going to talk about this. And I just started reading her book, and then I started diving into a bunch of other, CIA paperwork and white papers, which I have over here. But that's kind of what I'm just doing right now. So if you want to react with me, I'm just going to just play this video. And if you're like, hey, stop it for a second.
Listen, yeah, it sounds interesting. I have not yet seen this video you're about to plug.
Yeah, but, and if you're just far away, if you're like, stop, hold it, just yell stop, and I'll stop the video. That way we can hear you. Let me do this.
It's that extraordinary. Let me just start by asking you this.
Is that you beeping?
No.
No, Donnie? Okay, just making sure.
Is the United States still the longest standing democracy in the world?
No, it's not, which surprises many people. It's actually Switzerland. The U.S. was the perfect example of a democracy. We were the first modern democracy. We were this grand experiment on how you can bring popular sovereignty to a large country. And I think most people assumed that we would be that exemplar forever. And that ended at the end of 2020 when the U.S.'s democracy was downgraded to what we call an anocracy for the first time since 1800. And that meant that we were no longer considered a democracy on par with countries like Switzerland and Canada and Denmark. We've since gone up a bit. Our democracy has improved. The fact that we had a peaceful transfer of power was huge, but it doesn't put us on par with Switzerland anymore.
So
So basically what they're saying is that full democracies, and I did pull up some of this stuff that she's talking about, right? And everybody's blocking now.
Yeah, she's kind of going all over the place a little bit there, Sage.
Yeah, so what happens, what they're saying is we were a democracy, but what happens is there's actually think tanks and things out there that check the level of your democracy. So it's not something you stay. So what happens is if something, and this is kind of what happened. So when Trump came out and said that this was a rigged election, it's completely rigged, it's completely not stolen election, that put, when other countries were looking at that do these factorings, that lowered our level of democracy. Okay.
Right.
When Trump actually left, they didn't think he was going to leave. And when he actually left, because Trump did leave, I don't know what to tell you. That brought us back up again to that level. So it's something that, because of the actions of your leaders or your country, it can go both in and out of different levels of democracy. So it's not a stable, you're a democracy. It's okay, this vote and this situation caused you to drop down here because you are now having a president saying that this election is stolen.
Real talk, no filter on Savaged Unfiltered. Savaged.
They're saying.
I know. I have one of those days. I need my gabapentamine. Where's my gabapentamine? All right.
You need some coffee like I needed the other day. Holy shit, man.
I know. All right.
What's a democracy? What's an anocracy? What's an autocracy?
Anocracy. That's what it was.
How do you do it? Like, can you break it down?
So there's tons of different data sets. There's a big center in Sweden that studies and measures democracy around the world. For the last 5 years, I've served on a task force run by the CIA. It's called the Political Instability Task Force. And the job of the task force was to come up with a predictive model to help the U.S. government predict where around the world countries were likely to experience political instability and political violence. And
so basically, of course, and she'll say this, but the CIA can't do it for our country because they're not allowed, allegedly, to do it they can only work in foreign countries, right? That's not the CIA's jurisdiction. They're not supposed to. But what they would do is they basically brought a bunch of these people together, and this is what she does. She studies civil wars and things like that in regards to how they start and what attributes can cause them to go into effect.
When we put together the model, we thought of every possible variable that could put a country on the road to civil war. So we thought about things like poverty. We thought about things like income inequality, how ethnically and religiously diverse a country was. We put over 30 different variables into this model, and only 2 came out highly significant. And they were 2 variables that we on the task force did not expect.
Now this, and like I said, I have listened to this because this is the one I listened to that made me start diving into a bunch of this stuff. So basically they got a bunch of people together, and this is kind of what happens with think tanks. You throw a bunch of smart people together and you say, hey, figure this out. And then you throw a bunch of stuff out there, and then from that aspect, you basically say, okay, let me put this stuff together, and then from that, I can help.
Hey, Sage, if I may add, where is this woman at? Like,
in regards to where she teaches, or who is she? So she is.
Who is she? Yeah.
Okay,
I kind of threw that out like in left center field, but like, who is she and who does she represent?
Where's
Because
this
I'm
woman
listening
at,
to
he
the video
says.
and she goes from one thing to the next.
Yeah, where's this woman at? Hang on.
Yeah, where's she at, man? We want to know the fucking location, damn it.
Her name is Barbara Walter, and she is a professor right now. But during the time, there it is. Jesus Christ, Donnie, what is going on with this mouse? She is a professor.
So half the stuff that she says is, I mean, it could be spin. I mean, that's what I'm getting
before
at.
when she's a professor now. When she, and it is, but everything is kind of information in regards to this, right? So what they do is they'll take the task force is a CIA task force. That's a government agency that they take a bunch of smart people who study this stuff and stick them in a room together. And then they say, hey, we want, there she is right there. Let me pull her up. Let me put this on here right here. All right. So she is Barbara Walter, bestselling author, How Civil War Start, identifying the conditions that give a rise to modern civil war. And she's a professor at San Diego right now. And let's click on here. She's probably got an about page. I know she's been on TED Talks and things like that because I watched that also.
Yeah, I see the whole TED Talk now. Yeah, the appearances on there. Wow, man. She's just crying for relevancy. That's what it seems like.
No, I think she's not crying for relevancy. They're taking her knowledge and her field of expertise, and they're sticking her in a room with a bunch of other people. Okay, and they said, "Here is," and she's saying, "Here's what I did for the CIA, and I did it from 2017 to 2021. Here's what we did." Now, she wasn't a part of the CIA. She just said for the task force that she has, which does exist. This is what her role was, and this is what they came up. And when and I started to cross-reference the stuff that she was saying with different civil wars, and she'll talk about that. And I actually pulled the white papers that were Freedom of Information, put out there that it coincides with that.
We were quite surprised by this. The first variable that predicted quite highly what countries were likely to become unstable and experience violence is something we call anocracy. That's just a fancy term for a partial democracy. These are countries that are neither fully democratic nor fully autocratic. There's something in between. And the second variable was
okay, so let's go with the first variable, Savage. Would you say that loss of a democracy, you're in a democracy, right? Loss of a democracy what effects would that have on the people in the country?
A loss of democracy?
Yeah, like us. Go ahead.
No. The reason why I pause there, Sage, is because you have to be careful on how you say it and how you address it. Because without any type of democracy or constitutional republic or any forms of law and order, let's put that there. Law and order. You wouldn't have law and order. You wouldn't have control over the corrupted or control over the manipulation that would be presented, because you would see a lot of that right away from the get-go.
With what? In what regards? Like, because I could say, well, okay, tell me about
without any of that. If you didn't have any constitutional republic or any forms of constitutional republic or democracy or any of political law, you wouldn't have the order to carry out any of that. You would have, like, basically, how can I say this? Almost like a third world banana republic of a nation running amok in their own country,
which we
taking law into their own hand. It would kind of be worse than the old Wild West days here in America. People
don't vote in
justice amongst themselves.
That doesn't happen in China. People don't vote in China. They don't vote for their president.
Because that's a communist nation.
Okay,
that's different. Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? Right now, one of the things is when you start to go into, because for you to have an democracy, you had to have a democracy that has been is now becoming a weak democracy.
Yeah, I understand that part. Yeah.
Okay. And let me paste.
Whether the citizens in those partial democracies began to organize themselves politically around identity, whether they began to form political parties around ethnicity, religion, and or race, as opposed to ideology. Now, keep in mind, what was so surprising about this.
Okay. So what she's basically saying now is the second aspect of this, okay, is the fact Okay. Is the fact that you have a weak democracy. So then what happens? People start to form into echo chambers of either race or religion, or something that pulls them together to bring them into that feeling of team, or that feeling of community within, outside the realm of the mental state of a community of whole with the country. Right?
Yeah. She's starting to get into what's called identity politics now, Sage. I mean, now she's skipping right over the policy and she's going right into personalities. Yeah, but I think you're seeing that a lot here in America. People voting on personalities than actual policy. And that's dangerous. You don't think people vote on personalities? You don't think people are going to vote just because Trump is Trump rather than Trump's policies? You're missing what I'm saying. Okay. The personality coming out of the message that's being presented more on a microphone scale, but more or less on a advertisement, on a bumper sticker, on an ad, on all the commercials. They're voting because, wow, he looks good or she looks good in that ad. They're not voting on policy. If you're going to vote on personality, that's dangerous for any type of democracy or constitutional republic.
But we're doing
vote on policy because policy will give you the result. Now, let me rephrase that. If you vote on policy, you have to vote on correct policy, because sometimes the wrong policy could be the dangerous policy that could alter the result of any nation.
So let me ask this: what's Trump's?
Be careful on that. Yeah.
What's Trump's policy?
In my aspect of his policy, because I look at it different as he would. Of course, I'm a different individual.
No. What's Trump policy that he's running on?
What he's doing is he's putting our interests first before he would put a politician's interest first, meaning that he's giving opportunities to Americans versus giving opportunities to, say, a career politician.
What does that mean?
And you're seeing that right now.
What does that mean?
I thot I was pretty clear with it.
No, because I don't need the president. I have aldermen. I vote my alderman in. I vote my mayor in. I vote my governor in. I vote my representative, my politician in. Okay?
Right. He's giving you that opportunity to vote people in, but he's also presenting it on another scale.
Explain that to me.
The scale that I'm seeing it as is when you have a career politician that is saying, well, for instance, how can I say it? The words are there. I got to get it there. Yeah. Jeez. Okay. So a career politician would take policy, and what they would do is they would twist it. They would twist the language, and they would say, well, if you want your taxes lowered, we would have to do this or that. Or no. It's just lower the fucking taxes.
But you can't.
I don't want.
You can't just lower taxes.
A full-length conversation on how you're going to lower the taxes. Just lower the damn thing.
Okay, but what if that is cutting a program that you don't want cut? If you want me to lower taxes,
to give good programs, right, Sage?
If you want me to lower taxes, like me, right? We have a farm program. I have enough that I fall into a farm for lower taxes. So if the politician comes to me and says, if you guys want lower taxes, we're going to have to bump up the farm thing. Instead of everything over 10 acres, it's going to be over 15 acres. Well, that kicks me out because I'm at 11 acres. So I've got more than 10, but I got less than 15. So now my taxes are going to go up. So if you want to lower taxes, it's cause and effect. If you want lower taxes, something has to go. Now
you're talking on a state level. You're talking on a state level versus a federal level.
What's his job? What's his job at a federal level?
The federal level should have nothing to do with the state level. Let
Correct.
The states, handle that amongst of their appropriate states.
So what's Trump's policy that he's running on?
I'm sorry?
What's Trump's policy?
He's running on basically putting us first instead of taking out of our pockets. You're seeing a lot of politicians right now that are taking out of the pocket. They're damaging, programs such as Social Security and disability. That should never.
That's
been,
not telling me the policy that he's running on. So what policy, if he's elected, what is he going to do? He's going to pick my politician? Like what is he doing? What's the policy?
Well,
I'm not attacking you. I'm trying to show that.
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah. First, he's going to handle the domestic side versus the foreign side.
Okay,
right?
what's the domestic side he's supposed to handle?
Okay. For what I'm seeing, Trump, of where he's going right now in 2024, he's pretty much carrying the same agenda that he ran on in 2015 going into 2016. Would put in America first with strong borders, creating a culture, creating a language barrier for our country, because I believe those are the three basic principles of any nation: borders, language, and culture. Okay. Every country in this world has those three basic principles. I think we need to get that back. I don't think we don't have that right now in this country.
Okay, hang on.
We don't have
okay, so let's take them one at a time. So he's border. Yeah. Okay, in regards to the border, he wants to build a wall. Right?
Sure. That's his vision of it, yeah.
Walls don't work.
And what country does a wall not work in?
Well, we have a wall.
I understand, but name a country right now in this world that it's not working in.
China. China has the Great Wall of China that they still...
Show me a video right now where you have the same flow of immigration that you're seeing in the United States with our broken wall where you have immigration that are flowing into China.
Okay.
I'd like to see a video of that.
Because it's not the wall.
It's not find a video.
It's not the wall that stops them. It's not the wall that stops them. Right?
So what's
I can
stopping
show you
the
videos
illegals
of people
coming in?
Okay, I can show you videos of people hopping the wall.
Okay, no. Okay. Just cancel the video right now then.
Okay.
All right. Tell me what's stopping the illegal immigration flow into China right now.
Incentives. Let me give you an example. They don't have incentives. Let me give you an example. If I were to build a prison,
like welfare and food stamps and Section 8 housing.
Yes.
Great.
So if I were to build, I don't need a wall for that. Now, hang on. Let me give you an example. If I were to build a prison, and I made a 20-foot wall in a prison, and I put armed guards in the prison, but I told everybody in the prison that if you get over that wall, you're free to go, and you get $50,000 and free housing. They're going to try to get over that wall every single day because the incentive to get over that wall is worth the risk. So I don't need a wall, right? We don't need a wall. Yeah. We need to stop the incentivizing of what's on the other side of the wall by coming over the wall.
Okay, so Sage.
Yeah.
So if you eliminate the wall, you eliminate the word behind the wall, security. You eliminate the word behind the wall, barrier. You eliminate the word behind the wall, control, right? All that behind that wall, all those words, we're not seeing. Even if you didn't have a wall, you still wouldn't have that. Because you know why you're not seeing it is because you're not having leadership on the state and federal level pushing that. You're not having leadership controlling that and just saying, well, this is the United States. We're a nation of law and order. You're not seeing law and order implemented on both levels, state and federal. I think that needs to be pushed in November.
Well, we are. We're seeing what?
No, we're not. Okay, we're not. We're seeing huge amounts of illegal immigrants that are coming in. Huge amounts, historic highs.
Yeah, but we're catching them, right? And we're treating.
Yeah, but did you hear what I just said? Yeah, did you just hear what I just said? We're not implementing law and order behind that, because if we were, we wouldn't have historic numbers that you're seeing right now at the southern border.
Yes, we do. It would.
No, we're not. We're not.
Okay, so the law says we catch them and we use Title 8. We no longer do Title 42. We use Title 8.
Right.
Title 8 means we have to process them and they have a right to a trial. That's the law. The law isn't just taking so we are doing what the law is forcing us to do. That's why you have immigration officers processing them, because that's the law.
I want to go back what you just said. Okay, there was some type of hidden piece of message of what you just said. You know, China does not have the same amount of problems that we have in the United States with immigrants.
Correct.
And let me stop right there and say why. You're right about that. They don't provide benefits like welfare, Section 8 housing, food stamps, all that stuff. They don't provide that. Okay. And rightfully so. And I applaud them for not applying that, because if they did apply that, and every country has welfare to an extent, they usually give them to their own citizens. Okay. Which there's nothing wrong about, but I think it should be placed on a limitation status with welfare, even in this nation or any nation for that matter. But I think the reason why China doesn't have the issues that we have is because, say in the United States, which is actually true, my statistics might be off a little bit, but I think around 40 to 45% of immigrants that come into this country, they don't want to be United States citizens. They just want to come here, they want to work, and then they want to go back and they want to take the money they worked in this nation and provide for their families in that other origin of the country they came from. Okay. You don't see that in China, because you know why you don't see that in China? Immigrants that come to China that work maybe through markets or through the fishing industry there in China, or any industry for that matter, farming, okay, which is big in China. They don't do that because the country in China does not allow illegal immigrants to make money in their nation illegally and send back to their nation. That's why, Sage, you don't have that. You can fact check me if you want, but it's a clear fact.
It's the incentives, not the wall.
The incentives, yes, but the incentives would be to work. Okay. So when you say incentives, you have to be careful on how you say that. Are you talking about legal incentives or government incentives?
It's either. Any incentives. It's the
legal incentives would be to work, right, in the country.
Yeah,
but that's legal. You're making money legally.
If you come in illegally, you come in illegally, you can still work, right? Because some people's going to pay you off the books, right? Some people are going to do it. Okay. It's not the wall that he's screaming about that's going to stop immigration. You build a 20-foot wall, they build a 21-foot ladder, right? Yes or no?
I get what you're saying, though, but it would help. It would help the flow. It would break it down, because, I mean, for instance, for a small example, why I'm in support of a border wall here in this nation. Okay, put up a wall. Right. What the hell was that?
That's them climbing a wall at the Mexico border. That's them climbing the wall with a ladder.
Okay. All right, so put up a wall, right? Okay. There you go. Put up a wall. They're climbing a wall right now. Okay?
Yeah.
Look at this gentleman that's climbing the wall, the other person next to them, they're climbing a fence. I actually seen this video, right? Yeah. They got a kind of a what the hell is that? A ladder you would normally see in New York City coming down from
fire ladder or like a vessel. They put them on boats. Yeah. He just sliding straight down the wall right there. Not even using a ladder. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
We got a wall.
Look how long it's taking him to go up there. Now, I'm sure that there's cameras around, there's surveillance, border patrol agents, ICE, all that can see that. Okay. Now they're drawing eyes on themselves right now from border patrol and surveillance. Now, if that wall wasn't there, they would easily have gone right through,
Yeah.
across the nation into the United States.
Okay.
Okay. That wall right there, Sage, is breaking down from them entering easily. It's breaking it down. If that wall wasn't there,
adds an extra 1 minute.
They wouldn't have. You know how much that's breaking down from them walking across? It's breaking the time frame down by, God, almost a couple minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, but once the ladder's right there, you're just climbing a ladder.
You see where I'm going there with that?
Yeah, it adds. This might add 2 minutes.
2 minutes. 2 minutes is enough to capture and apprehend those illegal crossers.
You do understand that the wall, and then the walls that are built are actually inside our country already. So some of these people, some of the walls that are being built are not on the border. Like, people have already entered our country, and then they meet the wall. Because some of our border is actually in the water, right? We don't
over by the Rio Grande, of course. Yeah, I know where you're going with that. Yeah.
So they've basically already entered our country, and then they climb the wall. So they're already in our country. The wall is not on. Some of this wall is not directly on the border. There's the wall, and the wall might be 20 or 50 feet in. So they've already gotten into our country, and now they're climbing some of these walls. So they're already in our country.
They have to climb it because some of the. I mean, we have an estimate of 500 miles of wall built.
Correct.
Yeah.
But the issue, and so when I ask what Trump's policies are, and people tell me the wall, well, one, we can see the wall doesn't work, right?
How is it not working?
Because you can climb the wall. Are you looking?
Did that illegal immigrant? Show me that video again. Did that illegal immigrant climb over the other side of the wall?
Yes, their plan was to get there. They stopped, and whoever was filming stopped filming, but you could easily climb over the wall at that point.
He stopped filming. I want to see any video right now with an illegal immigrant successfully climbing over that wall right now.
Okay.
I don't think it's on the internet because it's impossible to climb that wall. That wall was tested.
There's ladders right here at the top of the wall. I could climb this wall. The ladder's at the top of the wall. You could climb over it and then slide down.
I'm not seeing any videos. I'm looking at videos right now, and I'm not finding any videos right now of people climbing over that wall successfully.
This wall is the same on both sides. If you can climb up one side and slide down, you think they're just going up for what? What do you think they're going up for?
They're going up to try to climb over the damn thing. I get it.
The ladder's already over the top.
That video is not showing. That video is not showing that individual successfully climbing over that wall right now.
He's at the top. This one guy right here is at the top.
He's not on the other end. He's not on the other end of it. You just told me that video was stopped.
I don't know if
it was probably stopped,
left.
and I'm just making assumptions that it was probably stopped because they probably got apprehended or questioned by Border Patrol as they were doing it.
Okay, hang on. Let me. But
there's a truck right there. If I looked correctly, that's a truck.
So once he's inside, so the wall didn't stop him.
There's another one.
Okay, hang on.
All right. So that's the Mexican side, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, it has to be the Mexican side because I'm seeing a whole bunch of Mexican symbols and logos on other vans that are going by. That's a Mexican side. Okay. I'm looking at pickup trucks, Border Patrol pickup trucks on the other side, which is the United States. They're ready for these guys if they
Some new video that we just got into our newsroom showing a man breaching a new section of the border fence down by San Diego. He climbed up a rope ladder on the Mexico side while two other men held on to it, and then he just slid down on the U.S. side like he was on a fire pole. The Washington Post is reporting that it's the first documented case of someone getting past that 18-foot high fence, which replaced the much shorter one. President Trump recently
4 years ago.
approved that new
This is
fence,
4
by the
years
way,
ago.
spending $150 million for 14 miles of it.
It's over the wall. Climbed up, slid down.
Okay.
The border
Okay,
wall in Odi
so-
Mesa is
so
complete
we're gonna-
as crews have finished installing the final panel of that section.
News 8's Brandon Lewis is live at the border tonight with.
Okay, there you go.
All right. So we're going to debate if the wall works or it doesn't work. Okay. Let's.
All right. Well, no, I asked what Trump's policies were.
Let's put
Go ahead.
let's put a purpose on why that wall was built. Was it built for people to impossibly climb it? Because anything is possible in life. All right. If you really put your marbles together, anything can be done.
Okay.
But I think the purpose of having that wall built is going back to what I had said. It breaks down time frame because that person climbing that wall with that ladder, okay, roughly is going to take what, about, if he's good at it, 25 minutes to about almost an hour.
Have you never
right?
climbed
If
a
he's good at
ladder?
it.
Have you never climbed a ladder? I can get up a ladder in like 2 minutes.
Sage, I said depending on the person itself. I mean, you have to look at people on an age.
If
point,
it's taking
right?
you 25 minutes to get up that ladder, you shouldn't be climbing a ladder at all.
Okay,
You should be in a
For
wheelchair.
instance, if you want to argue about that, you could say that you're expecting a 60+ man to climb up a ladder in 25 minutes.
No, I'm not expecting a 60+ man. When I'm trying, okay, I'm not going to. If you're looking to debate the age
on the
of
person itself,
correct. And so then we say, well, who's coming over here? 18 to 25 year olds. 18 to 25 year olds are shooting up this wall. I just showed two videos, right? And then going down the other side of the wall. So the point was that I said when we first started this, like she says identity politics. So when we first started the conversation, they basically said people don't vote people, they vote policies. So I said, what's Trump's policies? And if I ask you again, what is Trump's policies? The answer was he's putting the people first. How's he putting the people first? By picking politicians or by putting people before the politicians. It's not his job. That's not his job as president. His job is not to determine who my best politician is. It's mine. That's the free portion of free and fair
when you
elections.
say, yeah, and I'm for that and I support that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm trying to say is when you put something first, meaning a group of people such as people of the United States,
Okay.
that says everything behind our message as a nation, right? We the people.
No.
When you say that message, we the people, do you understand what that means?
I do, but which people? Which people are you putting first? Are you putting Antifa, Black Lives Matter, or what people are you putting first? Which ones?
All right. I'm naming people. I'm not naming groups.
Because, well, the problem is all of us people have different mindsets. So you're putting people first, okay? The reason we have politicians is because we have different mindsets. So because all of the people in my town, we have different mindsets, we all vote to pick a politician who we feel best represents us. Sometimes I lose, and it's not the politician I want that best represents me. So if you're telling me, so the issue I'm having is, when did it become the president's job to put the people first above the politicians in which they choose? Like, when did that happen?
That's happened before.
When?
We just haven't seen it in a long time.
When?
The original roots of how our nation was founded.
No.
We actually had leadership that actually put people first, put people of this nation first, rather than their pockets and their careers and their legacies. You've had that done before.
By a president?
Sure, countless of times.
Name one that he overpicked the politicians. So first of all, how do you do that? How do you put the people first? How do you do that?
By representing the people of this nation.
No.
Instead of representing your class of colleagues in Congress or the Senate or on any federal level.
How does he represent me? How does the president represent me?
By creating policy that would basically
he doesn't create policy.
Give opportunity to yes.
No, he doesn't. Congress creates policy. He vetoes it or approves it.
He implements it through Congress.
Okay.
So what
you're saying though, so now so again, I'm going to ask, how does he, the president, put me first?
How? The message is for what I just had said.
No, because I just told you the president doesn't create policy.
He's taking message, agenda, however you want to label it, presenting it on a national scale, getting a backing from people that support that positively, not negatively, positively, that would benefit them for future generations ahead. Not only benefit them, but benefit our countries to succeed.
Can you give me an example of a policy?
Any type of policy.
No, can you give me an example? Yes. Can you give me any type of example?
We just spent almost 20 minutes on this border issue. Focus on that. Focus on a secure border. Focus on a flow of immigration that would provide on a positive scale for this nation instead of a negative scale.
So his choice. His policy he wants to put in place is a wall, right?
Sure.
Okay, that won't work, and I don't want that. So
you don't want what?
I don't just want a wall. It won't work. We can see it doesn't work. I just showed it.
I'm not talking about a wall. I'm talking about immigration.
Okay.
Whether the wall is there or not, you still need strong immigration laws.
I agree with that. Okay.
Yes.
So that puts in regards to immigration, he does have the legal right to do that. That is a federal government thing. Okay. What after that?
With the backing of Texas, sure. Yeah.
No. Technically, immigration is a federal. The federal government handles immigration, not the state.
I understand that, but you don't see Biden literally lifting a finger of what Greg Abbott's doing for his state of Texas right now with the wall. And he's doing it on a state level right now, Sage.
Yeah, Biden is actually doing what he's legally able to do with immigration. When people say he's not doing anything,
interfering, you don't see Biden interfering whatsoever of what Greg Abbott's doing right now for the state of Texas.
He's not interfering?
No.
What does that mean?
Greg Abbott is implementing law and order on an immigration scale on a state level right now.
And so the federal government also does that.
Yeah. Greg Abbott orchestrated his National Guard, his state National Guard, to implement law and order on immigration right now. Right on the southern border.
To work with who?
Joe Biden is not interfering whatsoever. The only interference that Joe Biden is doing is just creating little spin.
So there's no ICE and Customs and Border Patrol on the border. There's just the National Guard. There's no federal law enforcement officers anywhere near the border.
I don't see ICE there. The only thing I see is National Guard. I don't.
You don't see any border.
A little bit of ICE, but not much.
You do realize that the National Guard doesn't have the authority to arrest. They're detaining them and giving them to
Border Patrol. Yeah. They're detaining them. They're controlling.
So we do have borders. So we do have federal.
They're creating a perimeter, just like any type of police officer would do. They're creating a perimeter. They're controlling the perimeter. They're not arresting. They're detaining.
Okay, so they're control, right? What I'm trying to say is that there is Border Patrol on ICE and federal law enforcement officers that are under the Biden administration, also in Texas. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what the federal government should be doing. Technically, the state doesn't handle immigration. They shouldn't be in control of immigration at all. They shouldn't be.
They shouldn't be in charge of immigration, but the reason why they are is because the reason why Greg Abbott is going to that level of where he's going right now for the state of Texas is because you have a president that's not implementing that right now on a federal scale. You're not seeing President Biden whatsoever implementing that. It's going back to the old Obama era of catch and release.
Okay, so that's
what he's implementing, the catch and release policy that President Obama put out during his presidency.
So we have Title VIII, and there are more he is deporting more now than even Trump deported, right? Yeah, I can pull it up for you if you want to check the numbers.
Where is this coming from? Politico?
No, the actual numbers.
Where?
Hang on, I'll pull it up.
Okay, because we were talking about the border on how it's a waste of money and it doesn't work. You showed me one video of actually somebody successfully climbing over. That's just one video. I mean, if you could show me a video with a flock of immigrants basically going over.
So now it's the number. So I said a wall doesn't work. So the logic is it does work. So then I show you two people climbing the wall and you're like, well, no. What I actually want is the wall to stop 100,000 people. But if two people are climbing over it, that's not good enough. I mean, either a wall works or it doesn't work. The number of people that if 5 people can climb it, 1,000 people can climb it. I don't think
the wall was put in place to have somebody possibly climbing over. I think it was put in place to control the flow of immigration. To control the flow of illegal immigration. I have to put that in place so people can understand. Illegal immigration. That's why it was placed in there. It was placed to control the flow. Okay, the flow, meaning, now if you have somebody climbing over, I'm going back to the old of what I just said briefly on your show.
Mm-hmm.
When you have somebody climbing over, it breaks down the time frame versus somebody just walking across. Somebody could walk across and then be picked up by, say, a truck driver or anything for that, just to name something for an example. Real quick, easily. Do you know how hard it is for Border Patrol to apprehend that person that's already in that vehicle versus somebody climbing the wall? Somebody climbing the wall, right? United States military, whether it's the National Guard or the Army or any type of branch of our government on a military scale, communicate with the Mexican Army and work together, whether on the Mexican side versus the United States side. It breaks it down, Sage.
Okay.
Do you understand where I'm going with that? It breaks it down a little bit.
So basically, here's what you want. And this is what Trump did, and this is what happened. Trump's policy was not good. It was bad. But here's what he did. Trump basically said, look, it wasn't the wall that was stopping them. Trump basically went to Mexico and said, keep them in your country until we process them. But people were still coming up. So then what they did is they said, well, we need to send people to the Mexico southern border. So he sent money and stuff to the Mexico southern border to help stop them from coming up that way. But they still came. So what you did was build.
Here's the thing. If I may chime in, sure. Trump wasn't the only one that first mentioned a border wall or any of that. Go back to old video footage or interviews with Democrats. Democrats wanted a wall for ages, but just didn't know how to present it. Trump presented it, and they were like, "Whoa! This is nothing new, Mr. President. We have presented this already. Yeah, you presented it, but you had nowhere to go with it. There was no path of a border wall ever presented, even."
Well, there was a wall there already. It just wasn't a good one.
It was more or less a freaking fence.
Okay, but the issue is that that's great. He presented it, and he slowed down immigration. But the problem here's
he presented it, but he presented it on a positive scale. Democrats have presented this, but they never presented it the way he presented it.
I don't care how something
I'm not trying
gets
to say
presented.
Trump got a one over on the Democrats, but
so he presented something that doesn't work. I don't care how anybody presents something that doesn't work. Yes.
No, you're looking at it. It doesn't work because people can climb over the fucking thing. I'm looking at it as it does work, and here's how it works. Okay. It works on breaking down the flow of immigrants.
So
easily
still
walking
coming
across versus climbing over a 50-foot fucking wall.
So then they're still coming.
Sage, listen to it again. It breaks down the flow of illegal.
It doesn't matter if you add 2 minutes or 3 minutes. It doesn't matter. 3 minutes of slowing down immigrants don't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit
on a military scale.
How many tunnels are there underneath the wall? It doesn't work. I can go over. I can go under. It doesn't matter. Your wall is fantastic. We're going to go under it. It doesn't matter. We're going to go over it.
So to counter argue that argument, what we do need to do is we need to recruit more Border Patrol, recruit more possible U.S. Marshals.
Perfect. Here's the problem.
Yeah.
From where do you get the money?
We have the money.
Okay, so we have the money now. Now we have the money. We're all talking. Hang on.
That you're funding right now for other nations.
Hang on.
You're spending billions upon billions of dollars over to Ukraine, Israel, all that.
Okay, so now
think about half of that money.
Yeah,
more than half.
Yeah,
you don't need the money that you're sending right now to other nations.
Hang on. We're also to the point that we are low on our military numbers. We are low on. Nobody wants to be a cop. Nobody wants to be in the military. We can't. Nobody wants to do those jobs. So where do you get the people?
That jobs is because of the political message that's behind.
Doesn't matter.
They're delivering the political message on a negative scale. They're going back to identity politics.
Okay,
Sage.
stop.
That's why you're not getting the numbers.
So I don't. If somebody doesn't want to be a police officer, how do you force them to be a police officer?
Go back to how it was enforced through the 60s and 50s.
How was it enforced? How did you force someone to be a police officer in the 50s and 60s?
Positive messaging.
What positive messaging?
Advertising, commercials.
They don't want to do it.
How it was presented back then.
They don't.
You didn't have negativity. You didn't have the message behind it saying it's okay if you are a transgender. Okay. The U.S. government, the U.S. Army will accept anyone of any creed or race. See what they're doing? They're dividing it through the message.
So how long do you think?
Like, shit, I don't want to fucking be a fucking
how long do you think that change?
United States Army.
How long do you think that change will take?
Immediately.
No, it won't. It takes 20 years to make mental changes like that. It takes 20 years to change. No, yes, it does.
No
one is going to say no. Yes, it does. Because listen. Okay.
No, it doesn't, because we had the same garbage that we had in the 60s through what you're seeing right now with mental illness. Okay, and it was changed rapidly through the right leadership, how to address it on a positive scale.
What mental illness?
The reason why you're not seeing it right now,
Sage,
is you're not seeing it positively addressed in the United States.
So tomorrow morning, you're going to write
why, Sage? Because that doesn't sell on media.
Tomorrow morning, you're going to write an advertisement that says what about joining the police? What's your advertisement?
I'm gonna write a what?
You're gonna write. I want you to write an advertisement right now. That a happy advertisement right now for someone to join the police department who doesn't want to be a police officer. Because remember, that person already had.
How I'm going to present it, and I'm going to go to producers. I'm going to go to executive directors.
I understand that right now.
Where the flaws are in that current messaging of advertisement of where the military is presenting it right now.
So do it right now. Right one,
and I'm going to fix the flaws.
Okay, fix it
because
Tell me what it is.
That's how you fix things.
Tell me how.
That's how.
Say it.
Tell me how?
Yes, you just said you're going to fix the flaw.
I'm going to look at an advertisement right now that the United States Army is presenting.
No. Right now, the police department. Because the Army can't stop. The Army cannot be on the borders of the United States of America. They can't do that. So we're talking police department. So right now, or Border Patrol. Right now, tell me how you are going to change the mindset with an advertisement to make someone who doesn't want to be a police officer, who already has a job that they're doing, and convince that person to leave the job that they're doing and become a police officer.
Proper training in the engagement training sessions. Enforce that a little bit. Make it more positive instead of negative.
What's the advertisement you're going to force for me to go to a police boot camp? How many? I mean, right now you might need 2 years of college for criminal justice.
Bring in the benefits that the police department can provide you. Showing your message that, if you come to our police department, okay, if you come work for us, you put in 20 years, you can provide for your family, you can provide for your loved ones.
I'm doing that now.
Think of the end result that you can provide for your families.
I'm doing that now, but I'm already doing that.
Yeah. You're doing that now, but that's not being presented right now because they're not.
Here's the problem, Savage, and it's a very difficult thought process. And it was even stated by a Russian Yuri. Once you start to convince people that society is a specific way. And it was a Russian that did this on YouTube. It's called subversion. It takes 20 years to break that subversion. It's a 20-year process. It's not a quick process. So what happens is once you took the police down, once you attacked law enforcement, people are not going to want to go to law enforcement. They don't want to go into law enforcement. Now you have to hire all these border patrols. They have to have college degrees. So they have to go to college for criminal justice. They have to pass a test. They have to pass a background test. They have to pass a psych test. They have to be interviewed. They have to be able to shoot. And trust me, I went to the United States Coast Guard.